Today we're going to talk about how do you clean your bearded dragon's tank. What do you do when your bearded dragon does this? What I like to do is take a sand scooper and a dustpan from a dustpan and brush. What I then do is flick more sand onto the feces. The reason I do that is if I cover that in sand, when I scoop it, a lot of feces that's wet and moist doesn't stick to the metal. So actually it's easier for me to clean that afterwards. So I flick that onto it, then I can then scoop it, sieve that off, put that into my dustpan, and away we go. That's the simple way on how to spot clean your bearded dragon's tank. Next, you want to look at things like the walls. If they're dirty, you can use a disinfectant like F10. F10 is a really good disinfectant. You can simply spray down the walls, wipe them clean. You can use it to soak pieces of wood to disinfect them. If you want to be really clinical, you can take out a piece of cork, use a concentrate of F10, something like this. Pour this into a bucket, let's say 1/10 of the amount of water you're going to use. Then place in your cork bark and then fill that bucket of water at a dilution rate of 1 in 10. And then leave that for a couple of hours to soak and disinfect. Then you can take that out, rinse it off, rinse all the water off of it, and then hey presto, you've disinfected a piece of cork bark. Now if you're in a small tank, if you've got a 40-gallon or something around that size, I recommend once a month or once every few months gutting out that enclosure, throwing away the old substrate and getting fresh substrate in brand new. The true answer really is when it needs it. So you can have a bearded dragon that doesn't poop very much and it keeps it very clean and it doesn't smell, and you could probably make that last like 3 months before you got that out. Or you can have a really messy dragon that everything stinks within 2 weeks and then you have to clean. It all depends on how dirty your bearded dragon makes a tank. Now back when I was at uni, my uni had a massive enclosure for bearded dragons. This open top big enclosure that was 2 foot deep of play sand and topsoil, but it was mostly play sand. And at that time I didn't know very much, so I asked them, how do you do a full clean and take all of that out? And they answered, they don't. What they did was they took samples from the bottom of the substrate to where it was most moist, took that to the lab that was on site, allowed them to analyse and culture the bacteria from that, and there was no concern with the types of bacteria they cultured. So actually, even though they weren't doing full cleans and they're only spot cleaning, the substrate was still clean. So in really big tanks like my 7 foots, I don't actually do full cleans very often, if at all, like once every 2.5 years maybe. For the most part, I am just sieving and scooping like I've shown you. If you have decorations, your bearded dragon's taking a big diarrhea, defecation on, then take that out, hose it down, disinfect it, pop it back in. It doesn't need to be anything crazy. They're out there in the wild where there's wind and bacteria and dirt and muck and disease. In captivity, if we keep them clean, you'll be absolutely fine. It's nothing hardcore, simply just sieve the poop, get rid of it. Don't let them live in an environment that's constantly poopy and you'll be okay. If you like these beginner type of videos, subscribe because there's more bearded dragon videos coming, and I'll see you in the next video.